Hello and welcome to News Channel Nebraska. Thanks for joining us here. Let's get you into some headlines today. A Panhandle man is behind bars after strangling his girlfriend and shooting at her dogs. 34-year-old Andrew Yoakum was arrested Saturday in Harrisburg, about a half hour from the Wyoming border. Police say when they arrived, they found a handgun on his waist. His girlfriend ran away from the home, but was later found with injuries to her body and throat. Yoakum was arraigned in Banner County Court and is being held on a $75,000 bond. And two people were supposed to learn their sentences in Grand Island yesterday for their roles in a 2023 murder. One did and one didn't. Michael Shively was there for all of it and has the story.
A man convicted of killing a horse trainer at a Fauner Park stable in Grand Island will spend at least the next 8 decades in prison. District Court Judge Patrick Lee handed down the sentence to Logan Hunt's horse today. Hunt's horse is just 21 years old. He'll spend 88 to 134 years in prison. Here's how it breaks down. Hunt's horse pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. For that, he received 64 to 94 years. He pleaded no contest to a weapons violation. For that, he received 24 to 40 years. Those sentences will be served consecutively. The case dates back to March of last year. That's when a drunken Hunt's horse, just 20 years old, shot 62-year-old Todd Scherer in the stomach. He then left the scene. Hunt's horse returned with the intention to rob Scherer. When he walked in the room, he found Scherer was still alive. At that point, either Hunt's horse or a co-defendant, Austin Kelly, took a wooden baseball bat and bashed Scherer's head in. They then took the wallet and split the money. The defense attorney for Hunt's horse, Adam Sipple, argued there were mitigating factors that should have led to a low sentence. He said Hunt's horse has an IQ of just 63, that he experienced systemic neglect growing up in Wounded Knee, South Dakota. He also had multiple head injuries that made him act more like a child than an adult. State's Attorney Sandra Allen said this was a violent and senseless crime. She emphasized the fact that Hunt's horse had several opportunities to help, but never did. She argued for a lengthy sentence. And that's what the judge handed down, the 88 to 134-year sentence. And Judge Patrick Lee said this case was violent in 2 ways. He said it was completely avoidable and stressed that instead of helping, Hunt's horse ensured that Scherer died. We expected to get a sentencing for Austin Kelly, a co-defendant, this afternoon, but that hearing was continued to next month. He'll be sentenced the same day as another co-defendant, Lane Harris. As far as the family of Todd Scherer, they didn't want to talk on camera, but they did tell me that Scherer had only been in Grand Island at Fauner Park for 18 hours at the time of his death. They added that he was beloved. In Grand Island, Michael Shively, News Channel Nebraska.
A new study suggests mental health problems are being missed or going undiagnosed in young people. About 60% of young people who died by suicide between January 2010 and December 2021 had no previously diagnosed mental health condition, according to the study. Researchers looked at data on suicides between the ages of 10 and 24 from the CDC's National Violent Death Reporting System. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's records included more than 40,000 suicides among young people. Of those, 40% had a documented mental health diagnosis, such as clinical depression, schizophrenia, or anxiety disorders. The data showed that people who were American Indian, Alaskan Native, and Black were less likely to have a diagnosis compared to white people. And it's been 4 months since an explosion changed a town and its residents. Ana Ruth Lugo Mejia has an update.
Front door would probably be right here.
Lionel and Carl Smith are standing right where their house used to be.
Right along the middle of the driveway is where their driveway started, and that's where everything went in.
Everything changed for the Wood River family on a Saturday morning. They had just woken up, and the family of 7 were ready to start the day.
I didn't understand the full spectrum of what was happening.
Yeah, I don't think any of us.
We had an impression that something was going on. We didn't get the detail,
Craig Sincere Buffett live in the house next to the Smiths. Authorities say he intentionally tampered with his gas line and blew up the house, taking his own life in the process. That day, the family of 7 were in different parts of the house when they heard what Lionel describes as the loudest slow-motion boom you could think of. The first thing she thought of was her kids.
I checked to look at the one that was by himself on the couch, and nothing had hit him at all. And yep.
Yeah, well, pretty much at that point, the wall blew in on me and on our other daughter who was in the bedroom.
The 7 of them escaped with only a few scratches just before the house caught on fire. Everyone in Wood River felt the explosion. Days after, the damages were estimated at $3.5 million. Mayor Greg Kramer says they're still trying to piece the neighborhood back together.
We recently demoed the last 2 houses that are going to be demoed right now, so all 3 house sites are cleaned up. The one that actually blew up and the Bonard's house to the east, the older house on the alley, they just finished that last week. The house to the west that burnt, they had a demo company come in probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago anyway. They're planning on rebuilding. So a foundation is supposed to be coming in the next week or 2.
Some lots will be sold, and the house on the northwest corner will be used by the fire department as a training house. Kramer said that some people might not be covered entirely by their insurance since the explosion was ruled as terrorism. Luckily for Patty DeBrol, that wasn't the case.
But we were so lucky, truly. So we made the best out of it. We about come out with a new house. New windows, new siding, things were repaired.
She hasn't been able to live in her house across the street from the explosion since March. She hopes to move back in by September after replacing 17 windows, getting new floors, and a new kitchen sink. Matt Troyer Miller lives a few houses down the street. He says his family's home lost 16 windows, 2 doors, and screen doors, and suffered lots of cracks in the plaster.
Yeah, we filed insurance, and so far that's been a slow process, but they've been good to us. It felt like they've been very fair. We keep finding new things that have happened as a result of this. With the heat and humidity, we've noticed new windows lost their seal. And so we replaced windows 2 years ago, and just about all of them are going to need to be replaced again.
Kramer says he's still amazed at how the community came together after the explosion. He has no doubt the city will be stronger moving forward.
You know, we want to rebuild this community and help anybody who comes into town. I mean, we're a nice small town, great school system. I'm sure those lots will sell. I know there's interest in them already, so we'll have houses back in those spots probably, hopefully by spring.
The Smiths are planning to rebuild on the same spot. Their insurance isn't covering full costs, and they'll need to cover some themselves. But they say Wood River is their home.
It's going to be hard to rebuild in the spot, but I think the community, I think it's worth it.
In Wood River, Ana Ruth Lugo Mejia, News Channel, Nebraska.
Do you know the police officers who serve your community? Knowing them can make reporting a crime more comfortable and effective. That's one of the goals behind National Night Out events, which are taking place across the country over the next couple of weeks. NCN's Casey Wanenberg brings us to the Night Out in Valentine.
You want to take a guess at what that is?
7-year-old Juliet Argenbright is having so much fun learning about furs and animals.
Bobblecat?
A bobcat? Close.
That she doesn't even realize she's mingling with law enforcement.
I could sleep with this.
Yeah.
And I'd love to.
Yeah, you can hunt bobcat around here.
Argenbright is taking part in Valentine's National Night Out. Law enforcement across the country hold events like this with the hope of building positive relationships with community members.
It's a great opportunity for our community to see first responders in a positive light. That's not an emergency, they're not scared. It's just a chance to come out and mingle with us.
In addition to police officers, sheriff's deputies, and conservation officers, local healthcare agencies like Cherry County Hospital participated in the party.
If we know them outside of work, it definitely helps. And it makes it better for everyone involved.
The weather did cause the event to be cut short. There were supposed to be pool games, including a law enforcement challenge. But despite the weather, it appears that fun was still had by all.
Oak. This is an oak.
Argon Bright was not only all smiles,
What do you think that one is?
but also appears to have made some unexpected new friends in law enforcement.
Otto.
An otter. It's a river otter. Very good.
In Valentine, Casey Hunenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
And be sure to follow us on X and Instagram and give us a like on Facebook to stay up to date with the latest news in the state. Thanks for joining us here. This is News Channel Nebraska.